Hello, 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 and it's good to have you here. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Choma Moma. I'm a purposeful parent. I am very passionate about parenting, and I'm passionate about also sharing and helping other parents as we go on this journey. And something I do every year is I make sure I call a few beautiful parents. And I say, look, you know what? Let's talk. Let's talk to other parents and let them know what are the highlights of our year? What lessons have we learned as parents in 2023? I've been doing that for a few years now. In the first session, we had some amazing people. We had Tara Dorotoye. She, you know, gave us some amazing lessons she learned. We had Pastor Mildred Okonkwo. We've had Dr. We've had all sorts of people, what amazing people come and share their stories with us on their parenting journey. And today I just said, you know what? Yesterday, there are a lot of people I could have called, but I said let me call people who are, who I know in every day, people who I see every day, who I know every day, who are my friends, who I've known for a bit, and a few of them have already joined in. Um, One of them is called Christiana. Christiana is a parent of two beautiful girls, Idara and Ima, I think. I hope I'm not getting their names mixed up. And she's also an oil and gas type. I don't know what to even call her. She's just doing amazing things in the oil and gas sector. She's so intentional. She's such a lady, very particular about her faith and about being an amazing parent to her two beautiful daughters. We also have TJ. TJ is a parenting coach. He's actually the only person I can say I don't know so well, but he's someone that I've met and I love. When I see men who are intentional as parents, it always encourages me. It always makes me know that look, this journey that we're doing is not, is some men are getting the message and it excites me so much. And then Fumilaya Hassan is a mother of two girls as well. It's like it's a day for the mom, the girl moms, and she's also a lifestyle and nutrition coach. She's also someone I work with. She's my colleague, she's a dear friend of mine as well. So she's someone I see her every day and I see how she is trying to make sure she's doing her thing, fulfilling her purpose, raising beautiful children, and just doing her thing. And then of course my sister Bridget, she hasn't come in yet, but she will join us very soon. And of course we have you guys who are here live. Please share the stream, share it so people can join us. We have our darling Grace, and we have Claire, who is a purposeful parent. Of course, Jeria, she's one of our wonderful guest who is always here with us, to encourage and to listen and join our conversation. So please go ahead and share it. And sometimes I can be a bit tired about marketing, but God will help us. So yeah, we're here and we're glad to have you. So I'm going to add Christy to the chat. I'm also going to add Fumi while we wait for our other guests to join us. And we also have Meg in the comments and Chidi. Thanks for having you. Tell us where you're from. Where are you? Are you in Nigeria? Are you in Abuja, Aba? Aberdeen, where are you? Of course, we have Bridget. Bridget has joined us. It's the ladies. I can't find the lone gentleman. He's taking time, but let me introduce Bridget and bring her on stage. Bridget I call her a social activist. She's a social worker. I call her my celeb friend who is saving marriages and saving lives all over the world on a global stage. Bridget Ekpo is someone I've known from university. She's a mother of two boys. She has come to balance it. So we have girl moms and boy moms in the house. And she is someone that is passionate about touching lives, helping women and everybody indeed to live decent lives, not to be disadvantaged or abused because they're in certain situations. And I love what she's doing. I'm here to, also, I'm always supporting. I'm happy she's here. She lives in the UK. So by adding Bridget, welcome, Bridget. Welcome, Bridget.
Hi,
So good to have you.
hi, Choma. Hi. Hi,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Christiana, hi. Fumi, hi.
Hello.
So we have all ladies in the house. Our lone gentleman, I think, is having some network issues, but we'll just go ahead and start because people are watching. And like I said earlier, this is something I do every year. I've been doing it for the last 4 years, and we just want to just hear from people, real life people, everyday people. What is the biggest lesson you have learned as a parent in 2023? And I'm going to just start with myself. This is just one lesson I've learned, that our children are more capable than we think. I'm a mother of four. I have a daughter who is going to be 16 in a few days. I have a son who was 20 a week or two ago. I have another son who is going to be 19 next year. And I have a little son who is 9. And sometimes, you see your child and you're wondering, can he do this? Can she do this? And the truth is that they can do much more than we think. So with all of them, but they've actually impressed me with the kind of things they've been able to achieve without my direct intervention. I'm like, these children are not the babies I thought they were. I think it's something a lot of us see all the time. And I'll talk about that more. But I want to just go straight to our guests because a few of them might have to leave soon. I want to also just welcome once again everyone who is tuning in from everywhere. Latifa, Claire, you're welcome. Please share the stream so people can join in the conversation. And before we go further, I want to just start with Bridget. Bridget, you're recently bereaved. Please accept my condolences once again. I know you lost your brother. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to ask you first of all, you're in the UK, you're raising teen boys. We all know that in the UK, like my friend would tell me, is the children are in charge when you're abroad sometimes. What is the biggest lesson you've learned with those gentlemen that you're raising in this year 2023?
Thank you so much, Shama. It's very nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I feel very, very honored to be among beautiful women to talk about parenting. Parenting. Yeah. It's a journey, and we learn every day. And so you asked the question, what's the biggest parenting lessons I've learned this year, raising my boys here in the UK? For me personally, is a journey of learning and unlearning and relearning. So my first son, who is 19, went off to university in September, and uh, that was a big deal for me. It's the first one leaving home, so it was very, very big for me. And I had a lot of concerns, leaving home, going off to start life by himself. Okay, unlike you guys, who a lot of parents in Nigeria send their children to boarding schools back home, but our children here mostly go to day schools, so they've never been anywhere before. They always live at home, like from primary, secondary, A levels, they go to school and come back every day. So we've always been together. The longest we've ever been apart is maybe when I travel without them, or when they go somewhere without me, or they travel. That's the longest we've ever been apart. So having he was 18 when he left home to go to uni, having an 18-year-old living home. And no matter how mature or how grown our children are, as a parent, they are always babies in your eyes. You see them as children. So sometimes you're worried. How are they going to cope? They've never left home before. How is he going to do this? How is he going to do that? So one of the lessons I've learned this year is that as long as we've prepared them, we really equipped them all the years that they've been with us at home, and we'll prepare them for the world. When the time comes, we need to trust that, they will do well. We have to just trust to do well. For moms especially, it's difficult to let go. You know how moms are with their sons. Very, very close. Like this one is like always permanently tied. It's like he's tied to my apron strings. He never leaves my side. So I initially I was like, no, I'm gonna be fine. He's gonna be all right. No, what's the big deal? After all, he's 18. But I realized that it really, really, I was not prepared to let go. I was not. If I had my way, he would be going to uni from home. So, but I had to come to that understand. And incidentally, I had a few moms as well who are my friends here that were on the same journey of their first children leaving home to go to uni, and they're all boys. So about two other of my friends and I had that journey this year. So we took solace from one another, giving advice, sharing, bonding, and okay, what do we do? But what I realize is that we need to trust that the training we've given them, the upbringing we've given them, the values that we've instilled in them, both in terms of our culture, where we come from, our traditions as Africans who are in the diaspora, where we all know that we are minorities in this part of the world. And like you said, it's like almost like the parents have less power. The children are given all the powers over here in this part of the world. But somehow you manage to navigate this challenges, and now they're about to leave home. So you need to just trust God and believe that everything that you've inputted in them as a parent, you and your spouse, that is taught somewhere in their brain, and it's going to help them in that journey when they leave home. So that's the number one lesson I've learned this year.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Bridget. And I like what you said. If you've done the work, you've instilled the values in them, the right value system, done what you need to do, and you need to be able to trust that, look, they'll be fine. No matter how jittery you get, no matter how anxious you get, just trust yourself. Say, you know what, these children are going to be okay. I have paid the price, so to speak. I've done some work on them, so that's so important. And I'm going to ask you another question straight away, because this whole diaspora thing is so important and so interesting, given that we have so many of us who are moving and leaving the country. Our children are going abroad. People are relocating for work and for different, different reasons. What is one thing that you can say that has helped you raising Nigerian boys in a foreign country, that other parents can learn from, that will help other parents who live in diaspora?
Hmm. That's a really, really good question, Choma. Because incidentally, as you know, I'm a social worker. So we see a lot going on, professionally, in terms of what is happening to Nigerian parents and Nigerian families who are relocating abroad. A lot of Nigerian parents who are jackpying at the moment, they are losing their children to the system. It's a real worry, it's a real concern. I mean, it's gotten to a point where I'm telling some parents now that, you know what, maybe you should consider whether you're going to bring your children along with you when you are coming abroad, or you are just going to leave them in Nigeria. Because, we often have this conversation about nature and nurture when you are raising children. There's the question of the environmental factor, which is where you live and, the systems in place and everything. And then the nature, which is, how you have raised your children. In this part of the world, the children are empowered. They are highly empowered. They have a voice. They can speak. As a matter of fact, they are prepared and encouraged to use their voice. And a lot of us African parents are not used to that kind of parenting. We want to parent our children the way we were parented. And unfortunately, some of us were not parented in a way that prepares us to parent our children in this day and age, in this generation, in this Western world. It's really, really tricky navigating parenting the way we were parented. Even if you don't want to parent exactly the way you were parented, now as an adult, you are a parent yourself. You want to say, okay, my parent did this, did that. I didn't like it as a child. What am I going to do differently? So you want to take the good aspect of what you felt comfortable with as a child, and you want to imbibe it on your children. But the environment is like, I said to someone on my show, it's like we are constantly fighting a battle over our children. It's not a joke. It is serious. And I don't think a lot of parents understand this. It's like we are constantly fighting. You are praying, you are fasting, you are talking, you are counseling, you are trying to befriend them to save your children. Because the society is so polarized. They are so exposed to so many things, and you are trying to protect them. But the school is exposing them to it every day, telling them this is the right thing to do. This is the way to do. There's diversity. There's equality. And so the number one challenge for the African parent that is bringing their child, especially Nigerian children, knowing how strict we are in our parenting, coming abroad, is you need to be very, very careful. You need to be very, very intentional not to lose your children. It's not everything that you do in Nigeria that you can do here. If you do it here, the children will not come back home. Because when they go to school at a young age, they will start asking them. They know Nigerian parents, the way we discipline children, they know. They are used to it. The schools are used to it. So they ask them, they even ask the children question. And you know, at a certain age, some children don't know, they can't lie. They'll just say, oh, my daddy did this, my mommy did this. Before you know it, they are calling social services. They are calling the police. I'll give you a very good example before I leave this question, because there's so much that you can talk about on this question you just asked me. It's not even something I can talk about in 10 or 20 minutes. It's deep. A family member of mine just recently, jackpot, came here. The husband was here and she came here, and they're living somewhere, not in London. And I heard that because, again, you know, the challenges of trying to settle down, to get yourself together, bills are piling up, and so much. Everybody is working. The next thing they knew, what they knew was that the neighbor had called the police to tell the police that they left their children at home and they both went to work. And the next thing, by the time they got home, the police are there interviewing the children. Chama, you are muted.
I can hear you. I'm just like, I can imagine what the children were saying.
Yes. These are people that just jackpot. They just jackpot. And they go home and the police is in their house talking to their children. Where is your mom? Where is your dad? How long have you been here? Do you have food? How long have they been in their house? Because you are not allowed to leave children under 16 at home alone. You are not allowed to leave them. You cannot leave children. You cannot leave children at home who are under 13 for even siblings. There needs to be one parent there. But in our Nigeria, what's there? Should be I'm just going to go to work and come back in another few hours. What's the big deal? Go and eat. There's food in the kitchen. There's food in the freezer. Take care of your younger ones. I'm going. So there's so many. I think the parents are coming abroad now. If you are jackpotting with your children, you need to learn what the system, how the system works, what is expected of you as a parent, what you can do, what you cannot do, so that we don't, keep having stories of parents. And in this case, this family member of mine was able to get away with it because they gave her a warning. Don't ever leave them at home anymore. Don't do it again.
In fact,
but some people are not so lucky.
It seems we'll have to have a whole conversation on that topic because there's a lot to unpack, obviously, with that one. So I will plead with you because honestly, I've heard so many stories. I know somebody who had to go and do some, which is why we say that, when people say, we say, come for, like the conference I'm having next year, come for conferences, attend courses. They're like, you go teach me parenting. It's not as if
they won't go. No, they won't go.
You need to learn these things so you don't learn the hard way, and you get into trouble. Because the truth is that a lot, people say, oh, I turned out okay. They did this to me. It doesn't, those things don't really work. It doesn't, especially in the developed world, you're going to get into serious trouble. That's the other.
Yeah.
So much, Bridget. I'm going to go straight to Christiana because we're talking about, thank you, Bridget. Thank you. Please don't go anywhere. We're still here,
I'm here.
Christiana, you're in the oil and gas sector. And there was something that Bridget said, and I remember I had this friend who moved home, and she was like, Nigerian parents are so busy. That's not how we are abroad, though. At abroad, I see that a lot of them, their kids, they have to put their child in boarding school. They're so busy. At home, abroad is different. We have more time with the family. We're able to do things with our children and all that. Mom, dad, and everybody. But Nigerians seem so busy. But I see you're very intentional, even with a very busy career. I see you make time for your girls. I see there's a lot, I admire you a lot when I see the way you've made your home a haven for your children. Tell me what the biggest lesson you've learned raising your children. What was the biggest, I would say not only the biggest lesson, what was that thing that was like an obstacle that was difficult, that was like, oh, this is a bit of a challenge, but this year you were able to get it done, you're able to overcome it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chima. So the biggest lesson, let's roll back a bit. So let's focus on the lesson from this year. I think my biggest lesson from this year is that every moment with your kids counts. And you never really know when it's that time that you would impact on them, in a way that will count. So every moment, when you take advantage of every moment that you have with them, then is such a big, or it's such a I don't know the word to use, but it's such a golden moment. Let me say that you shouldn't discount it. So I think that one of the things that we have to do intentionally as parents is to create the time we spend with the children, And then number two, so what was my biggest obstacle? I think that we always think we always think that we should raise children in a certain way. But I think Bree said something. We're always learning and unlearning. I think that we get the learning part. It's the unlearning that's really the harder part, especially when we've been raised here in Nigeria and we have a certain mindset of how things should be. And I want to say something. It's not only being in outside the country that you lose your children. You can be right there in your house and you've lost your children. Their heart is not with you. Their minds are, and the social media is doing it. TikTok is doing it. YouTube is doing it. You stay in the house and your kids want to, they want to be on their phone. They don't want to sit at the table, they're on their phone. You just have to be intentional. You need to let them know that, look, connection counts. That hug with mommy counts. That talk with mommy counts. And that's why I said every moment, unfortunately, because you will be in the house and your children don't want to be with you. They rather be talking to an unknown person on the phone. Social media has really created an aspect to parenting that we don't realize because we didn't grow up in that world. In our world, we woke up to watch TV at 4 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, TV was
Absolutely.
over. You went back to bed. On Sunday, before anything started, probably 6 o'clock. And 2 hours later, 8 o'clock, it's time for news. You're going back to bed. But here, just be at home one weekend. TikTok, everything is 24 hours, available at will, just at the click of a button. Even babies, like I have a baby, my nanny had a baby in this house, and she wanted, a device. So I think that the biggest lesson on learning that, on learning the things that we knew and trying to learn this new in this new way, because what the new world does for us is that we need to look at things from a different perspective. If you see that, or if you find that you're losing your children, for example, they're getting into TikTok a lot, the question is, how can you bring them out of that? How can you bring them back to you? Because no child is lost. No child is lost, except you're not ready to fight for them. And I like what Bree said. We're fighting every day. So I don't want, I think one of the lessons I want people to understand is I don't think that because your children are, nice, docile, they're not fighting. You're fighting things that you can't see. Your children are learning things that you're not teaching them. They're also learning, like Bree said, from their environment. They're learning from their friends. Sometimes I say to my kids, oh, let's talk about this today. And my daughter will tell me, oh, mommy, I already know this, and this. I'm like, really? So I'm late to the table. That's what it means. And this is me being intentional, thinking about their ages, thinking about what is appropriate, how far do I go, on a certain topic, and then they're telling me, oh, mommy, and I'm like, how did you know that? Oh, this person had a conversation because something and something happened, maybe to a star, to a celebrity. So I think that's really the biggest obstacle. So I think really what one of the things I'm doing in terms of unlearning is, because there is good in how we were brought up, and I think that's the good we need to take. Don't call me by my first name. No way. Don't come and say, don't tell me, don't be sassy. Yes, there are times we can joke, but there's a place and a time for everything. The Bible is not wrong about that. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
However, in dispelling those new things that we're learning and discarding the things that we need to unlearn in this modern world, how we go about it is really, really, something to learn. Like you said, from this kind of classes, from this kind of engagement, just being open to learn, to tweak it one part. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it helps. And I like that we're having this conversation, these conversations, and that's why we have them, so we can talk about these things. Your children are learning from everywhere. Like
Definitely.
Bridget said, like Christy has said, you just think, if I remember I had a good laugh at a mom who was trying to talk to her. She was very late, talk to her 15-year-old about sex. And he was like, Mom, do you want me to be abstinent? Yeah, don't worry. I made up my mind years ago. And she was like, you already, there's, and that's even a late one, 15. Even 8-year-old, 7-year-old, they're getting to hear things. They go to school every day. And even children who are being homeschooled, trust me, they're interacting with other children. They're learning stuff. And we need to make sure we're having those conversations because they are being like 24/7 barrage of images. If they're with their phone, they can wake up at 1 a.m. and they can see what to watch if they have phones. They are learning from everywhere, and we're hoping that they're learning from the right people. That's why we need to be the first in time. We have to work with, there's something I love to say, the law of first mention. Where did your child hear about it first? Is it from you? And did they hear the right thing? So, gone at the days where you say, if a man will touch you, you'll get pregnant, because it's not even true, is it? If a man touches you, you're not going to get pregnant. So somebody's going to tell them that that's a lie. What your mom said is not true. Look at she and he and she, they've been touched and she isn't pregnant, so let's go ahead. So we need to give our kids the right information, talk to them, be there for them, make sure that every moment counts. And let's make sure that we're making those moments meaningful for our children and taking the good things from our own childhood. So I'm not one of those people that will tell you everything that happened to you as a child was bad. Nigerians are terrible parents. No, there's some good things in our culture. The respect, the value system, but there's some things that we need to throw away. That is the honest truth, and we need to just say it as it is. And our gentleman is here. I'm going to call him. Let me not do ladies first. Let me call him right in. TJ, how you doing? I think TJ, are you muted?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. TJ, how you doing? Nice to see you.
I'm fantastic. TJ. I'm excited.
So like I'm happy we have some men. We have some men who are joining us in. They're here, they're coming, they're in the comments room. If you're a guy here, please say hello, say where you're calling from. And here's your guy here. TJ is here for the
Who's your guy? Who's your guy? Please show that I'm your guy. All the men here.
Say hi to your guy, TJ. I love it. TJ is someone I love when I see men who are involved as parents. Because many times, you go to a school, and this is so common in Nigeria, you go from PTA meetings, you go for parenting conference, and you see 99.9% women attendees. And you're like, is this more? And it's not like it's a single parent situation. There's a father in the picture. But a lot of fathers have decided that, look, when it comes to all this school show, you go and watch my child, PTA meeting is a woman's thing. I'm bringing in the money. And it's not really true, because in today's world, women are working very hard to support and to add their own bit to the home front. So, unless you're someone who is, your husband is supporting 24, even if he's doing everything, and you don't bring a penny into the house, he still has his own role to play as a father figure. And I want you to talk about infusing the father figure element. What is your biggest lesson of 2023 as a dad?
Woo. Thank you, Chioma, for having this conversation, and thank you to the amazing women here. I was just listening, smiling, and telling myself, they've mentioned the lessons I'm learning. What other lessons should I mention? Thank you so much. And I want to say hello to all the guys who are trying to hail me. I can see Ndubisi, Ini, I can see you as well. The biggest lesson as a father, first, is that what my children have taught me as a father this year is my children taught me how to learn and understand how God our Father works. I think they have helped me to see parenting as an expression of God's love to man. And this may be me trying to sound maybe religious or spiritual, but actually, I got to understand clearly that most of the things I struggle for, I fight for, are already available. I just need to trust God. And in trusting God, I can also trust my children, because God has trusted me enough to be a son who will represent him on earth. Whether I have all the tools I need right now, whether I know I have them or not, God has trusted that I'll find them at a particular time. I will use them and I'll become an amazing man. So my children taught me that this year. I had to learn to know that I have to trust God. I have to lean on him solely. I have to not work in my own understanding always. I have to just fail, fall without shame, run as I am naked to him. So I think my children basically pointed me back to God, because I got to realize that the things they need, they don't worry about. because they know daddy will provide. And then I
Mm.
know I work. Yes. I know I work so hard, but I sometimes forget that God is the one who provides for me. So I'm thinking I'm trying to be assistant God, trying to provide for myself without trusting Him. So I think my children drove me back to God, the Father. Help me to trust Him, help me to rely on Him. You know, my daughter one day was just climbed on the freezer. She is 4, and then she just jumped. And I was like, what is going through your mind? And then I answered the question myself. Daddy's here to catch you. You know, she
Mhm.
wasn't thinking how dangerous it was. As far as daddy was there, she could jump, daddy will catch her. And guess what? Daddy caught her. So, you know, that's one thing. They've made me understand what God's love is. They've made me, you know, not worry, you know, sometimes, oh, how will this happen? No, see, they go to bed, they wake up. Once they wake up, they know that they'll come and hug daddy, great daddy, they'll do their devotion, they'll go and bathe. Daddy will ensure that there's food, or daddy and mom meet together to ensure that there's food. They'll go, they play, they run back, they won't hug daddy, even their house is upside down. And now, let me tell one funny story here. So, we just painted the what you call this thing now? Is it PVC, CVP, whatever it is up there.
Evening or whatever.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
just painted it white, and then my son went up and he wrote, "I love my daddy" on the white roof we just painted. Yeah,
How did he get up
yes, like
there?
we just no. Okay, so he's on the
Good
top.
question, Brie.
He's on top. Yeah, no, okay, so
Ah,
his bed is on the top part of the bunk. You know, he's on top, and then because he's on top, he lies, he sees the roof just there, and he takes a black pen on the newly painted roof and writes, "I love my daddy." Now, the African parent in me came and saw that, and the first thing is that this guy just messed this ceiling. I just painted my money. But then I got to realize that he was just expressing his love to me. And if he wrote it up there, he was writing in the place where he wants to see it always, because he really does love his father. And when I saw that, I embraced him. I told him, "I love you too." And I then got to also realize that sometimes the
sorry.
things we
But was
think,
there a but part? After you said I love you and he had painted your wall, your
But
ceiling,
don't write on
was
my
there any
wall
but?
anymore.
Please
no, no, no,
don't
no, no,
write on.
no, 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 no. It's their room. They have the right to make their room how they want it, and they will live in it. They
Okay,
can't do that in my
fair
room.
enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Is their room. Okay.
it's their room. Yeah,
Mm.
you can write daddy, I love daddy, but I'm not going to come paint it again. It's your room. So, so you know, I think that's the greatest lesson. They just taught me to, you know, run to God the way I am, love God. You know, so sometimes as a father, you know, men, we have this basic, oh, men don't talk, men don't cry out. But you know, they taught me that yeah, you could go cry to God, because they run to me and they tell me everything. Sometimes I get tired of hearing them, but I just have to listen. So I'm like, God has over 7 billion children on earth and he's still listening. Okay, so God, I will make my own extra one and I'm going to talk to you. So I think all that help gave me strength, you know, to parent through the year. So yes, I think that I would say that's my greatest lesson as a father.
Your biggest one. I love it. I really like TJ, and I like. But yesterday we were playing a game. We had our estate end of year party, and the women played and the men played, and the women beat the men, and they were like, "Daddy, is it that you people? Is it stress? Is it pressure? Is it? As in, what's the problem? You people are not playing this game properly." Because it was a very simple game, And I think men especially, because we hear, I was talking to somebody about suicide rates. The suicide rate in Nigeria is extremely high. The last time I checked, we're number 15. I was shocked because people say, Nigerians know they commit suicide. It's a lie. They commit suicide because the pressure, the stress, and most times it is mostly men that commit suicide. Because and if you check if those that write their letter of why they committed, most times uh, it's pressure, financial pressure from everybody, the world. I cannot cry. I need to do this. I need to do, and if we can realize that, look, God, yes, we need to do our part. We need to work hard. We're not going to rest on our oars, but that God has already provided for us, that God cares about us, that God loves us, and that He's there for us, and that worrying is not going to add one kobo to your wallet. It's not going to change anything. I think that's a very vital lesson to learn that, look, if we truly believe in this God that we talk about, Nigerians are very religious with church going folk and all of that. That we can actually relax a bit, as long as we are doing the needful And I like it was your children that taught you that lesson. That look, I'm relying on you. So even if I do fall, I'm not going to start jumping shower. But if I do fall, you're there to catch me. So I really love that lesson, TJ. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for everyone who is joining in. I can see people from Wari, Uvi. I'm sure your TJ's guy. Thanks for joining. Anyone that's video, just say where you're coming from. We would like to just connect with you. And I'm going to go straight to Fumi.
Sorry, Choma, before you go to
two little
Fumi,
girls. Yes,
there was a question there. Somebody was asking a question. I don't think you caught it. Chidi, if you look
where
at the
is it? Let me
comment,
check. What
Chidi
blueprints?
was asking
I've
a
seen it now.
question.
What blueprints are we using in parenting our children? Please, Bridget, you can
Maybe
take
you
that
can
one for
note
us.
that down. Maybe you should note it down. Then later we can talk about it after Fumi has said something. Because there's
I hope I
something I
don't
want to
lose
say
it.
about that PTA too. You did say something about PTA, how women are
Yes.
mothers are mostly the ones that attend PTA. There's something I want to say about, the diasporan parents, African parents about PTA after Fumi as well.
Okay, so let me go for Fumi and then I'll come back and take that question. Thank you, Bridget, for catching that. So Fumi, we're going to go straight to you. You have two little girls. And sometimes you have to do it on your own because I know your husband travels a lot, he's in and out, It can't be easy, that's the honest truth. What is the biggest lesson? What is your number one lesson that you've learned from those little human beings this year? Are you
I think she's
muted?
muted.
Fumi, we can't hear you. She's not muted. I wonder what's going on. We can't hear you. Are you using your phone or laptop?
Check the mic. If you are using a laptop, check the mic, that the mic is
check
on.
your mic. Just do a quick test on your mic. It looks like it's on, but just do a quick check. And then maybe you want to re-log in using a different device if it doesn't work.
And we could also take that as part of the lessons, part of the parenting lessons we are learning. That sometimes all the things you say, your children don't hear.
I'm going to allow Fumi's going to log out and log back in. Oh, okay. I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You're good. Yeah, go ahead.
Good. Oh, I thought that was live all along. Anyway, okay, yeah. So I have two young children. For context, my daughters are 5 and 3. So I think one of the biggest, I've learned a lot from them this year, to be honest, because I think one of my big goals for this year was to be more intentional in what I do when it comes to parenting. And I think one of the lessons I learned was that children will adapt to the environments you create. And I think I say that because I know my children are still young. Older children, I don't know if it would apply, but that children will adapt to the environments you create. So this year, one of the things I was intentional about was screen time. I think I speak for a lot of parents, and I think Christiana mentioned something about that if you're not engaging with your children, the world out there has enough options for them to engage with. Like there's no vacuum in terms of their engagement. So I was very intentional about screen time. And when I say intentional, what I did was that I said we're going to a zero screen time. We're having a zero screen time policy. Now, when I say zero screen time, so during the week, during school week, of course, nothing, no screen time, no TV. But what that meant, and I know sometimes we sometimes say these things, but we don't realize it actually demands a lot of work. It demands a lot of intentionality. So if I'm saying, okay, no screen time, what are the alternatives that I provide? So that I basically became, at some point, my husband was like, you might as well be homeschooling these children, because I went in to now put in place structures that ensured that there was something to do that was creative, that was engaging their minds rather than TV. Like a lot of times, even as a mom, I'm busy, I'm a working mom. So sometimes, a lot of times we use TV as, what, don't disturb me, just go and watch TV. But the question is, are there other creative things? Pardon? Yeah, TV is like the nanny. Yeah, TV is like the nanny. So what I did was, the way you have a food timetable, I'd actually had a play routine. So I put in place, so different days, on different days, they would have different things to do. That would be, you know what, today is painting, tomorrow is this, you know, so there will be different activities. So yeah, and then sometimes they will come to me and, mommy, I'm bored. I'm like, bored? You have a list of things, you know, that you can do. Pick your choice, you know, do, you know, one thing or the other. And I realized at some point, at the beginning, I thought there was going to be a lot of, you know, there were arguments or, oh, mommy, I want to watch this. But I was surprised, in all honesty. It felt like I didn't feel there was no fight. There was no, because they knew that there would be something else for them to do. And I realized that too. A lot of things I realized that came out from that experience is, number one, I mean, there are two. So their bonding in terms of, you know, sisters, they could be on their own for like hours. They're playing their own thing. They are doing role plays. They are playing restaurants. They are playing, you know, different things. And I realized that actually, you know, this is what screen time actually takes away from the family. Now I realize that of course there's benefit to screen time, but the level of bonding I noticed between them, the level of, you know, even tantrums, you notice that their emotions and things are more, you know, more regulated. You know, I noticed so many positives, you know, for me. And it just made me realize that actually, you know, if we're living in a society now where people just feel like children cannot do without screen time. So for instance, you see people like in the car, like I always tell people, like in the car, I've never used screen time to keep the kids busy in the car. Because right from time, I realized that actually if they cannot sit in the car without a device or something, so what I do in the car, I always have books. So there's always books at the back of the car. So if you're busy, if you don't have anything to do, you either read or you just look out the window, and chat, with one another. So for me, I think that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, is that the environment you create, your children will adapt. So first and foremost, find out what kind of environments do you want to create, and then create that environment, and then the children will adapt to that environment. I think for me, that was one of the biggest lessons I learned, that some of these things are not as necessary as we think they are, and actually, and doing away with them. And even with even with my conversations with them, I found out that, okay, because there's no TV, they come to me quite a lot more, which can be, stressful, and, you're tired and everything. But I realized that, we chat more, we talk more. Sometimes my daughter will just go, "Mommy, is it chat time?" And, it's just, you find other alternatives. And I think it makes you more creative in terms of what you offer to them. You get to rattle your brain rather than just throwing them to the TV or giving them an iPad. So I think in terms of lessons, I think that's one of the greatest lessons for me this year, that children will adapt to the environment you create.
Thank you. They will. And I like the fact that you mentioned their age, because the truth is that it's easier when you do anything younger. That's the honest truth. So it's always good to catch them young.
Yeah.
We're talking about, when you're trying to make some things are more malleable. A child breaks a bone when they are 5, an adult breaks when they are 50. Which one heals faster is the child. We know that they're able to, take these things in, and it's more work. That's the truth. Anyone that says that it's not more work, you have to be thinking. You have to think, okay, what can we do? You have to fill that void. And that's what people are trying to avoid when they say, please, I could just carry this tab, make I rest, and just leave me alone. And there's something I do when we're driving as a family, just to occupy us. Some people are not thinking, because people are, I want to touch a phone. Let's look at, okay, you choose red, you choose yellow, you choose black.
Yeah.
Choose the color of a car, and let's see who gets the most cars. And then we all start observing, and try. Of course, the person that's driving tries not to be looking shy, but everybody else in the car plays the game. And when we were younger, we had no phones or anything. For my parents, then we used to sing songs. They will sing. When one man goes to more, and we'll sing and sing and sing until we finish the song. And that's how we used to occupy ourselves. We had to be creative. We played with sand. We climbed trees. We played with our neighbors. We had fun. But now the easiest thing to do is, you can live in an estate. You don't know the person that lives next door to you. Everybody's scared and afraid. Security issues. People are just, look, just there and play with your tab and don't disturb me, And at times, my youngest son, because of the gap, he wants to play with me. Mommy, come, let's go and play ball. I'm like, I don't want to play ball. I beg. Believe me, But at times I will, what? Because if he doesn't play, he doesn't always want to read a book. That's the honest truth. Because he wants to play. At times we do play with him, or find things I can do like X and O, or that what's that game, Ayo, just find
Yeah.
things to do with it. Or at times, hide and seek. That hide and seek one, I never know where to hide. This boy will say I should go. I said, where am I going to put myself in this house? Because leave me. I said, okay, after this one, I'm not playing again. Leave me. I'm tired. So it takes a lot of work and energy, especially with the younger children. But I think it's well worth it. So thank you so much for me for that. Thank you for sharing. And in fact, are you just sure you will not come to? In fact, anyway, let's be planning the conference will take place in May. So this is something just for you to know that we're having that conference in May, and you will hear from us anyway. So I want to go to the question that question is obviously for Bridget, and I want her to please help us answer that question. What blueprints are we using in parenting our children? Is it the Bible? That's for Christians, for those of us who are Christians, or is it the Western world policies?
Thank you, Chioma. That's a very the deep question, but I don't know if there's any blueprint for parenting. I don't know if there's any blueprint from my own perspective. Anyway, I would say that parenting is the first thing about any parenting, whether you have a blueprint, whether you're following the Bible or Western world, is you have to put love forward. Is love.
Love.
It's just love, yeah. Because even when children, they are not acting in their best or they misbehave and you discipline them, if you do it with love, they will understand why. So it's just it's a journey. Parenting is a journey of love.
Yeah.
It's a journey of love, and every day is different. Every day is different, and every stage is also different.
It's different.
If you have older children like Chioma and I, you will understand. My children are 19 and 17. So the way I parented them when they were 5 and 6, like Fumi's children, is not what I'm going to do now.
Exactly.
One is an adult, one is almost an adult. So it's understanding how you navigate every stage in terms of, teaching them what is important about life. Teaching them about the values that are important to you as a family, especially if you live again in the West, where you are hit right, left, and center with so many things contrary to what you believe in, contrary to your own way of life, or even your Christian beliefs. You live in a society in the West where the only thing they believe in is, they believe in respect, equality, and their values have got nothing to do with faith of any kind. They don't even believe in God. So, you coming from a traditional background for us as Nigerians, where we believe in God, we are Christians or Muslims or whatever faith that you believe you are held to, our faith is a foundation of most of us, the way we were raised. It's very, very important to us. It drives most of what we do even as adults. So now you're having children in this society where, at some point they are telling them that it's okay for you to be in a relationship, same-sex relationship, that love is love. It doesn't matter. You can't even talk about it. And even before the children are ready to embrace or to even, learn about that sort of life. I don't know about America or other parts of the West, but in the UK, it's so bad now that it's in even at primary schools that and it's compulsory. So when my children were younger, you had an option as a parent to opt out of those lessons. So they will write to you to say, oh, we are doing this diversity training about, LGBTQ, and do you want your children to be included? And those of course, Nigerian parents will always say, no, please don't teach my children. They didn't go to school to learn about relationship. You sent your children to school to learn book, Abi. But yeah, it's like you have no voice, because now there's no option for parents again to opt out. It's compulsory. Everybody is taught, and they don't teach them at. They start teaching them from maybe like primary 4 or so. The books that they read in their nursery and everywhere now is not the sort of nursery books that we had at some time ago. It's same-sex books that they have, where they have 2 daddies or 2 mommies. So you see, there's a lot that you're contending with.
But
They're not talking about God. When we went to school, Chama, when we went to school, we used to do what they call it, morning prayers in school, in secondary schools.
Yes.
You line up, you sing SOP, you sing songs of praises. There's a prayer, there's an announcement. Here, you can't even pray. It's not allowed. So every day is just talking, and of course, you're going to take the Bible principles, which is important to you as a Christian, to imbibe in your children, taking them to church from when they are young. But you have to balance it with the environment.
Yeah.
You can't be too fanatical, because if you are, at some point, the children can tell you they are not Christians. They don't want to go to church. There's nothing you can do about it.
I was going to say that they can just say, I don't believe in God. I'm sorry.
Or they can tell you that, yeah, they can tell you I don't believe. That's your belief.
Recently.
Oh, I don't know how many of you saw the viral video a few days ago.
I was going to talk about it, Bridget. That video was what I was going to mention.
Yes. Where the woman was saying, she's a Christian woman, and the girl was like, oh, that's your belief. Don't put my name in your altar. Why are you putting my name in your altar? I don't believe what you believe. So those are some of the dynamics that we have to deal with. A 25-year, when I saw that video, I was cringing. 25-year-old girl, she has a child. She's living in her mother's house, and she's recording her mother. In fact, there was a subsequent video where she was pulling her mother's hair. She called the police on her mother. Yeah.
She was pulling her hair.
Yeah. Because the mom was trying to stop her from leaving the house. And she said she had to go. And then she called the police. Somebody said that, there's a narrative that, oh, don't bring your wife to the abroad. If you marry your Nigerian wife, leave her in Nigeria. At some point, they will start saying, don't bring your children. She called the police and told the police, oh, this woman doesn't want me to leave the house. Don't let her touch my child. She must not touch my child. She's stopping me from leaving.
I
Something that we could never conceive. And do you know what, Chama, let me shock you. Do you know what? When I went to TikTok to read comments on where she posted the video, she had a lot of supporters.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of African children say, oh, these African parents are very wicked. Nigerian parents are very evil. They are this, they are that. So we have a whole generation of diaspora African children who think there's nothing good coming from our African parenting.
Okay.
It was very sad to see. I saw it and I was cringing. I was like, what is going on here? It was sad to see. And it's a reality, because the truth is that, like you said, I don't know their story, I don't know their backstory, but you cannot do the same things you were doing in that. In fact, even in this environment, there's some things are not wrong, wrong. There was a video I saw, and someone was like, if they're here, they go reset the Pekin, they go do the child, after the beating, then what? After you've reset them with okay, then what? Like you say, after you've tried to force faith down there, so they can say, I don't believe in God, I'm sorry. And then what? What happens next? So I like that you're saying, and that's really the truth, is that you're raising them with those values, but you're not shoving it down their throat, because the truth is that they can wake up one day and say, I don't believe in that, because they've been taught something else anyway in their environment. Their friends are from all over you. Do you understand? So you need to let them learn that faith intentionally.
Yeah. And the way they learn it, from my observation, the way they learn it, the diaspora children, especially first generation, is by observation.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't play religion, because what we find about, how religious we are as a people, is that we find people who claim they are Christians. They go to church, but their behavior does not show that they are Christ-like.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And the children pick up on that very quickly.
Yeah.
They pick up on that.
Yeah.
So the only way you can sell that your faith to them is you need to show them what Christianity really means in your
Practically.
behavior. The way practical, the way you relate to yourself as husband and wife, if you are married, and the way you relate to other people, the way you talk to people. Do you show that love to people? Do you respect people? So these are all the things that you need to take into consideration. There's a lot. So to answer that question, for the person that is asking, sorry, you need to balance it. Take the good, balance it to the environment. There's a lot of good parenting advice in the Bible, but it's not all parenting advice that you take from the Bible, because there are some things in the Bible that you take, you do it today, it doesn't work. Remember that Bible was written over 5,000 and many years ago.
Practical, so take practical. But TJ is going for his PTA. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you for answering that question. And the truth is that you cannot force your faith. I always say the easiest way to teach a child anything is by modeling it yourself. Children are the other hypocrisy, they are done with it. The other day I was doing a YouTube live with my first son, who is, and he outed me in front of everybody. He said, "Mommy, you're always telling me not to use phone. You're always on your phone, Mom." That was basically what he was telling me. That
I saw that.
Parents do this. A lot of parents do it. They're telling that, and yes, it's for work, but I had to be intentional. So because of him, now I try to read my Bible, not the phone one. I'll carry the book so you can see that this book I'm reading my Bible, because they're like, you know what, you cannot have double standards when it comes to these children. They want to see you walk the walk. They want to hear you talk the talk, and then they can pick it up. Okay. And there was something you wanted to say about PTA. Before you say the PTA thing, let's talk because TJ has a meeting. TJ, do you want to add to what she said about what's blueprint? I love what she said. What Bree said. Blueprint is love. Love never fails. That's just the honest truth. And love really does. I was speaking to someone a few weeks ago. He was an addict, and the main thing he said was that trauma, love was what saved me. My sister, my girlfriend at the time, they did not give up on me. They showed me love, and that was how I was able to get out of that addiction. So love is something that is so powerful, in help raising our children. T, did you have anything to add to that conversation about how, what policy or what blueprints in quotes can we use, yes, abroad or anywhere, in raising children? In a few minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you, Bridget, for that response. I'm happy you started mentioning love. I wrote that down even before you mentioned it. Love is the strongest gift and the strongest tool that we can use anytime. I wouldn't want to flog that over, but I just wanted to say two things. One is this, that our concept or idea of parenting actually is the major problem. I would love to ask every and any parent who taught you parenting. We go to school, we learn how to cook, we learn everything, and we can tell you how we learn them. But when it comes to parenting, we just want to assume because we have children, then we have the bragging right to call ourselves parents. So our idea of what parenting is affects how we parent. And how we parent now, especially from our region, we parent from the place of authority rather from the place of, I said parenting is an expression of God's love to man, God's love for man. If we understand that, then we understand what Bridget talked about love, and then we understand this is how I also see children. I don't see children as my children. So I have 5 children. I run a blended home, and I have 5 children. The oldest is 15, and the youngest just turned 1 yesterday. I don't see any of them as my property. I see them as God's property given to me for a time, and I got that understanding the day my son called me his brother. We're just talking, and then he laughed and said, my brother, my wife almost spanks the hell out of him. How can you call your dad your brother? And now let's think about it. I didn't create him. I only brought him to earth. I was just the vessel that brought him. He's God being. I don't create human beings. God does. So God has given him the responsibility to lead him through the path. That's why he trained up a child in the way. But in training, the word is training. In training, there are instructions that guide training, but the instructions are not absolute. Like Shema said, the instructions evolve. with time and understanding. They evolve. However, there are fundamentals that cannot be shaken. Regardless of how much evolution we experience, seed time and harvest doesn't change. Okay, and the other basic principles that don't change. So it is how we parent. So we just want our children to do this because I say this. And when your children who are smarter than you because of smart devices find alternatives, you lose that superior influence over them. So this is it. Engage in conversation. I never, my daughter 15 years told me that I'm old school. I say, yeah. So you guys, old school plus new school is bigger school. And we laugh about it. I don't think you're new school. Let's talk about it. And we talk. She tells me all the things that's trending, everything. I listen. I'm like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And then I test her with questions. What is, and then she goes, oh, you never saw it that way. And I'll tell her there's an African proverb. No, I don't put that proverb. What a child sees climbing on the tree, what another is sitting down, the child can't see climbing on the tree. So there's the place of old school in new school, yes, daddy, and then we move on. So we need to engage in that conversation. If you want to just throw your weight as a parent, the truth is you're so old school and your relevance will be short-lived in your life. But engage your children. Talking about templates now. I'm a believer. I believe strongly in God, and I believe God's word can never be outdated. But it's important I need to grow in understanding. And so the template you create, no matter how perfect Shoma, Christiana, or Bridget's home are, I cannot replicate their templates in my home. I need to understand what's the word? I need to understand what's happening in my own environment. I need to know clearly my values. I need to set clear goals, and then I use that to draw the template I want for the thing I want to create. So there's no template, foreign template, local template. No, the template is the template you draw based on this factor that you've identified. What are my goals? What are my values? What kind of family do I want to create? How influential? Right? You ask yourself those questions, and the answer to those questions help you create a template that will work for your home. Sometimes, in some role play, we try to say things like, "I want to build a family of influencers." So, what are the values of an influencer? What are the behavior? How do you model that in your home? And those now help you design the framework on which you raise your children. So if you're just looking for something to adopt, you may adopt chaos into your home.
I agree. That's it's fantastic. Well said, TJ. The truth is that there is no blueprint, there's no template. We learn as we move, but there's one thing that we know works. We know love works. We know you setting in and saying, what are the goals I want to achieve in my family? How do I want to raise my family? What are the values I want to instill in my family? After some families, they even go as far as saying, okay, this is our family values. This is how we want to raise our children. This is how we want you guys to be, and you walk with that value in mind. You walk with the end in sight, the kind of children you want to raise, and you walk towards it. So I totally agree with you, TJ. Very well said. And Christiana has to go very soon, so I'm not going to lead. I'm going to allow Bridget to say something quickly, and then you will jump on the PTA thing. I have a feeling it's something really important that you wanted to say about PTA, Bridget. So please, can you bring that in quickly? Then Christiana will come. What did you want to talk about?
Oh my God, PTA! It reminded me when who mentioned PTA? Was it you that mentioned PTA, Choma, or was TJ that? It reminded me of PTA. Oh my goodness! African parents don't go to PTA in the abroad. A lot of them don't go. Yes.
Are you serious?
Hey, most of them don't go to PTA. Oh, please. In fact, I want to beg Uncle TJ, how are you going to help us to beg your brothers who live in the abroad to be involved in PTA? When we go to PTA in the abroad, we will see Oyibo, father, mother, grandfather, grandmother, uncle, all of them will gather. You see black children, even when they have production, like end of year, they normally have, in primary school, they have their, what they call it, nativity play and all that. They will all come to watch. You hardly see African parents there. They are all working. They are all working. They don't see the relevance of it. They don't see the importance of it. So it's something that we really, really need to educate a lot of parents. On my show, I'm always shouting about it. You wonder why your children are so distant from you when they grow up. Most of them go to uni, they don't come back. Because because I know a lot of people who come abroad are economic migrants, but still, there are things that are important. A lot of parents don't go to PTA. If you go to PTA in schools here, it's only Igbo people you will be seeing, they don't see the importance of it. There are some, especially father, and that's why I'm directing it to TJ. They don't know their children's teacher. They don't know the head teacher. They've never attended anything in the school. It's something that needs to be addressed.
I find that really interesting because, as you know, Brie, I was in Exeter when I was in the UK. So I was it wasn't a very, what's the word?
Culturally diverse.
It wasn't diverse. There was a lot of diversity there. So I think I was the only black parent in my school. And if I feel so bad because there was this black family that moved to my school because they were looking for a more diverse school, and they heard that there was a black woman with her child in that school, so they came to join us. I mean, I had to come back to Africa after they came. So we didn't have diversity, but I just thought, this is fantastic. Everybody. So I assume that the whole system was like everybody is attending these things. They understand why it's important. So I'm shocked. I'm actually quite
London
shocked.
is very, very diverse. Come to London, you will see if you go to schools. Nigerian parents, they don't go. It's very few of them that see the value in it. They don't go.
Okay, I'm going to go to Christiana because I know how I'm going to. Her husband is not here, but me, I know him. I like him. I know he's a very, he's quite involved in his children. How do we get our dads? I want to just leave TJ. Let me spare TJ. I know TJ is doing right. How do we get our fathers to be more involved in their children? Because talking about that PTA, I'm shocked that they're going to their abroad, seeing all the Igbo parents doing the right thing, and they are still doing the same thing. How do we get our even the ones that are here to be more involved with their children? What are the things that I see your husband, I see him. I see how how he is. What are the things that you can see that you can that the woman can do to help these men if it is us that need to help them, or the men can do to just talk to us from your own experience with your husband?
Okay, so I think from the get-go, I heard Fumi say this, we're very intentional. When we're getting married, we decided the things that were priorities to us, and in the level they were, and raising godly children was a decision we made, and it's something we would always refine. So, and I wanted to say something, and of course, we don't know the picture. So I love what Bray said. At every point you're training them or you're parenting based on the ages of the kids, and it changes as they grow, from toddlers to young men and young ladies, and even young adults, you keep on parenting, but I wanted to say some key things, especially my husband. I think fatherhood is so critical for raising balanced kids. And when I say fatherhood, I'm not saying you must be in a marriage. I'm saying that as a father, you father children, you want to make sure that you pour yourself as a father to your child. And I think that was what TJ was saying earlier on, because whether your kids are male or female, they need that maleness in their lives. It's just a balance, that God isn't wrong about. That's number one. And then number two, so my husband takes time to, what our parents used to do, or what we used to hear about, folk tales. So I was saying to my family friend that is around at the moment that my husband introduced my daughter to the 90s music, the 70s, the 80s. And my daughter, when you hear her singing Michael Jackson, things in the past. So people are like, how do you know that? Well, it's her dad. It's, the connection with her dad. He takes time, he sits with them. He takes them out to the cinema. He has his moments with them. And I think that is so, so critical. The way I always tell them, I always say, sometimes when that is like, oh, let's spend a day today, I'm like, that is pouring into you, because he's pouring of himself into those kids. Do you see what I mean? And that's the next thing I wanted to say. So time is an investment, and every time that the kids feel like you're invested in their success, because you're painting a big picture of, how you see them. And of course, they understand that picture is being refined, so you're helping them to build this picture of themselves, and that's what he tries to do, so once they know that, look, my parents are making this investment, even if they don't appreciate it at the time, they get it. Do you see what I mean? So every day is a work in progress. Secondly, I wanted to say another thing. Most of the time when we talk about our children, my husband and I now, and what he wants to do for them, the first thing we always say, or I say sometimes to remind him is, look, God has a plan for these children. And TJ said it. We are caretakers. We bring them into the world. We father and mother them. We bet them. We have to nurture them and help them. Realize who they're going to be. But at the point in time, there will be an handshake. There'll be a time when we say, you know what, you're now on your own. Bye bye. And you now have to stand on your 2 feet. And how we prepare them for that, they need to understand that it's a process. That they're going somewhere with it. And for us as parents, we need to ask God, what is this big picture for them? And as he shows you, he will be showing them. You see, so that there's a working in hand together, with your child. And I say to parents that have, really difficult children, and and when I say difficult, I'm not saying that the kids are difficult, because all kids have their personality. My first daughter is very different from my second child. My second child can be strong-willed, and that is a strength. So what we need to do as parents is, show them all those things that are strength that they can leverage on, and then, show them, and of course we got God's guidance, asking God every day that, what is your plan and purpose? How is this a blessing to them? And, showing them those positivity. You're strong-willed. There's nothing wrong with it. You can stand in front of your boss. You can stand in front of the world and take on the world's challenges. Oh, you're soft-spoken. You know what? This is a virtue. It's not bad to be soft-spoken. However, do this, do that. So we're there to guide them at each point of the journey. And then lastly, I wanted to say that for everything we learn and for everything we want to start with our kids, start today. Start now. Don't wait till tomorrow. When my nannies had a baby, she would say, I want to breastfeed, I want to keep him on my breast and let him sleep at night. And when he's 1, I'm like, at that 1, it's too late. Everything you learn with your children that you want to do now. If you want to cut devices in their lives, start from today. Tell them why you want to cut devices, device time, why you want to, tell them about the big picture. Always lead them to the big picture. I think that's when they appreciate it the more. Try to always lead them to the big picture. Let them understand that, look, babe, you're 13 today, you're not going to be 13 tomorrow. Find how to impute love into all those things so that they understand what you're trying to do. You see, and even let them know that you have your shortcomings. I say to my daughters all the time, I may not get it right. I probably won't even get it right. I don't even plan to get it right, because really God is my help here. At the end of the day, what I want to do is make sure I've done the best with you. And I think that's where every parent is. We shouldn't try and think that we will define our children's life. No, God is the ultimate person that has made them, and He has the ultimate outlook or purpose or plan or picture of what they who they are, what they're going to be, and where they're going to, and how He's going to use them in this world. We only have the privilege of getting them halfway into the journey and then letting them go off on their own. So those were some of the things I just wanted to draw in. Fatherhood is so important. I can't overstress it. I think that is so important, regardless of our relationship with our spouses. We should just make sure that we're pouring into our kids. Thank you. So sorry, too much to say, but I just thought those were some key things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christiana. Thank you so much. Start now. Anything you're doing with your children, start now. If you think you didn't start on time, it doesn't matter. Just start. They will get it. I remember when I tried to get my children to stop eating one particular kind of sweetener, and because some of them were older, they resisted it. They were like, what kind of nonsense? It was easier for my younger son to buy into it, but eventually they got with it. What I had to do was I put my foot down. I was like, we're going to change, not even including me. Nobody, we're done with this sweet now. We're going to introduce. It was some kind of syrup. I wanted to start using honey for pancakes, and they were like, hey, we won't eat pancake again. They lie. It's been years. They're all eating the pancakes with honey. They've gotten used to it. They're fine. But you need to start now. Whatever you need to do, start now. And fatherhood is so important. They cannot be stressed enough. And I like what Christy said. Even if you're not married, a lot of couples who are not married, maybe they are divorced or whatever happened, they try to use the children as weapons, and hold them, you can.
Yeah.
It's really a very dangerous thing. You shouldn't do it. If the father wants to be involved in their lives, please encourage him by all means. Do not use the children as do not weaponize your child. You're doing them more harm than you know. And Christy said, half of it, it's not even up to half that we have with them. It's not even up to half of their lives. But that foundation is so important. What you do in that foundation stage will help carry that building through its whole life for the next 40, 60, 70, however many years the child will live after they've left your house. So do what you need to do the needful, do it now, learn whatever skills you need to learn, ask for help, watch programs like this so we can learn from each other. I've learned something from Bridget today, I've learned from TJ, I've learned from Christy. I remember there was a time my daughter wanted to learn to play the piano. It was Christy that helped me out with that, you know. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to learn from someone and say, okay, what are you getting right in your own parenting? I've seen your children are doing X, Y, Z. Let me ask you a few questions. Maybe you can give me some advice and point me in the right direction. We don't know it all. There's no manual. We've said it all. There's no manual. We're just learning the best we know. That there are techniques that work. But at the end of the day, you know, God is the ultimate. We learn what we do what we know, and we trust God that what we're doing will yield the proper fruits. Amen. Thank you so much, Christy, for that. I'm going to go back to Fumi. Because Fumi, a lot of things, when we're talking about
Sorry,
children.
can I interrupt you, please, Chairman?
Yes, you can, TJ. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to step out. I apologize. I need to step out. My meeting, everyone is around waiting for me. I'm actually presiding over the meeting, so I'm so sorry, beautiful. And I feel so blessed to be the only guy here. And I'm tapping from all the women I'm seeing on the screen. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for those who have come. But I just wanted to add something to the question you asked that I answered. So I look at myself. Currently, I run a Northern Fathers community. We don't call for it. Part of the idea why we run the community is, one, we help fathers, engage in parenting early enough, and also provide the right support for their wives through the pregnancy period and afterwards. Now, excuse me, I'm thinking about how we raise men, and I'm thinking about how I got here. I got here having both parents play a certain role. First, my father was a fantastic role model, or rather, he is a fantastic role model. My father was, off onshore, and whenever he comes, he always wants to play with us, sometimes takes us on a boat ride into the Atlantic Ocean. Let's see what he's doing. We're watching him hunt and all that. My mom, on the other hand, taught me something I'm doing right now in my family. So I'm taking this exact more to the women. My mom taught me how to be responsible regardless of my gender. So she did not teach us that there was anything that was there was any work, any chore that was gender restrictive. So I hardly cook better than my wife, and I'm saying that, yeah, and I cook better than my wife. Yeah, thanks to my mom. And so this is what I'm saying in answering your question. I think it may be so difficult to teach the men now. One of the things you can do is help raise the boys to become better men. That's one thing I'm recommending. Help raise our boys. Two is help our men by pointing them to the direction, or somehow pushing them into environments that can help them learn the way they learn the best. So I have, some friends who come, oh, my husband is my husband. That I ask, are you trying to tell him, correct him? Yes, I told him over. He will never listen. How do we create an environment? Okay, is this football right? How can we put him in a place where he's enjoying the football and this conversation can start? How do we ensure, oh, go for this training? He will not go for that training. Oh, don't you see your mates? You will never see his mates. We need to learn how to pace our husbands, how to help them get into environments where they can see superior influence. Some can have the advantage of probably using their spiritual leader, if at all, but can we have environments? And now we're having men's room, men's locker room, where men can come, and just talk at deep and man to man, we can face ourselves. Can we push our husbands, in that direction? Create, there are some things you may just put, it could be a 2-minute video clip you can see fair. So you don't say a word. But what we could do is face our husbands to get to the place where gradually they learn, or they may not learn, but they can learn, and then they can start becoming that role model. But what we need to do as women, is ensure we help our boy child. There's a popular saying that the boys are drawn to their mothers, and the girls are drawn to their fathers. Well, I don't believe that anyway, but the popular saying. So I ask, if the girls are drawn to their father, and now we have super women everywhere, that means the fathers did a good job. And if we complain about the boys, I want to ask the women, what did you do to them? That's on a lighter note. That's on a lighter note. That's on a lighter note. So let's just ensure we help the boy child, learn with some sense of responsibility that there's a future that he has to live in such a way that he'll be modeling, because the importance of having can really not be overemphasized. Okay, I just wanted to add that, and once again, thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, TJ. Nice to see you. Enjoy your meeting. Thanks for joining us today. And I that resonates with me so much. I'm sure it's with everybody, especially Bridget, who has to handle so many cases with badly behaved men. And we ask ourselves, who is raising the men? Who spends more time with the men? Is the mothers, who are spending a lot of time with them. How are they raising them? So we have to be very intentional the way we raise our boy children as well as our girl children. You cannot say, oh, learn how to cook, learn how to do this. Oh, you're a girl, can you not do this? And then the boys, you're leaving them to be playing their game console. So you're picking up like vagabond boys, and you have these well-trained girls who can do everything, and it's not a fair match, you see, because the boys are entitled because of the way you raise them. So raise human beings. There was this class I went for was a gender course, and they expected everyone to gravitate towards the girl. I said, no, I want to gravitate towards the boy for this session, because if nobody is paying attention to the boy child, it is the same boy child that is badly raised that becomes a monster in the future. So I totally agree. We need to be mindful with how I ask us, these boys were raising, will we be happy if it's our daughter marrying this person? So we need to be intentional with how we are raising our boys. All that thing, all those things, those olden days, those are the things that we don't want to take with us forward from our Nigerian culture. Boys cannot enter the kitchen. Boys cannot do X, Y, Z. It is a no. Boys need those life skills. Boys need to have empathy. Boys need to be loving and caring. They don't need to be entitled and think the whole world revolves around them. They need to have the same skills that the girls you're equipping your girl child with. So that's so key, and I really, really do agree with TJ on that. And also getting our men to listen to things, something that does really work. Don't nag. You can be playing, for instance, if you want your husband to listen to something, just play it around him. He'll be, those nuggets are going to be dropping, and he'll be listening. And nobody argues with logic and good sense except a fool. If you're making good sense, and I'm like, that speaker, that person is making, as in, it's even unconscious. I have, who was that person that you were listening to yesterday? I want, I actually enjoy what she says. Send her tape or whatever, and you will see that the person is gradually, the message is sinking in. So thank you, TJ, so much for with us and for hearing and for learning, with us. So I wanted to go back to Fumi about food, because I was talking about how you mentioned the children learn the most by what we do, our religious practices, our faith, whatever it is. How are you behaving? They watch you and they learn from you. Bridget said that we've all said it in different ways. Fumi, regarding how our children are eating, our eating habits, the way our children eat, we have diseases, lifestyle diseases are on the increase. We have a lot of people who are suffering from all sorts of things, and a lot of it is traced to food. So I want to talk about, just share a bit about that in our everyday lives as moms and dads. How can we help our children to make sure they're eating the right food, they're eating healthy food? For a long time, one thing that, one lie that has been sold to us is that, our Nigerian food are not good. If it's not quinoa, we're eating, and bulgur wheat, and name all the things that they like to sell to us that we cannot see in Nigeria. Because it's only Bridget that can see it. If we're supposed to shop, we can't find them here.
If you find it in Nigeria, you will pay heavily for it.
I'll pay heavily. Okay, so please, over to you, Fumi. Let's talk about that.
I think in terms of, eating, it starts way before the children even come. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think it starts way before the children even come. Like they will often tell you, even in pregnancy, the foods you eat as a mother goes a long way to determine and have an impact on the health of your child. So I would like to, like me, for instance, what I do with the girls, I think I like to be practical. So I exclusively breastfeed for like 6 months. Then after 6 months, once I'm ready to wean them, I start at that point to introduce them. Obviously I start with soft food. So I start with purees that have a wide range. So introducing them to a wide palette. I personally have a wide palette. So I guess somehow the kids pick up on that. But even after they are outside of the womb, I start introducing them from the moment I wean them. I start introducing them to a variety of foods. So I know sometimes, people, always say, children, like cereal now, for instance, I get a lot of women, I guess it's more comfortable, it's easier. But I think sometimes we do the children and perhaps even ourselves a disservice in the long run. So I start by introducing them to a wide range of foods. And I think that's very important. One thing is that if you're not offering something in the house from a young age, how do you all of a sudden, when they are older, you now want to start introducing them to vegetables? It doesn't really work. It doesn't really work that way. So I would say, because I'm still raising young children, so I would say start early. Like you said, whatever you want them to do in the future, start now. So one thing I would say is, number one, start early. And number two, model healthy eating habits. Like you said, I think you mentioned, someone mentioned it, children, even like, I think when Bridget was saying something about religion, children like to see you do what you say. Like there's no pretense with them. So if you're talking about them eating healthy, are they seeing you eating healthy? That's one thing. So for instance, I'll take my daughters, for instance. So my first daughter, she likes her vegetables generally, obviously like cooked, but I eat salads a lot. So this year I noticed that she started asking, I wasn't actually forcing salads down her throat. I wasn't actually really offering her salads. Like in their meals, they have vegetables cooked in their meals, but salads as raw salads, not really. But recently, I noticed that she started asking for salads, and she started saying, "Oh, mommy, I like salad." Why? Because she sees me eating it a lot. So I would say, in terms of healthy eating for children as well, we as parents, it's important that we model healthy eating habits. Like if you're not buying healthy food in the house, like if you're not making it a priority, if they don't learn that these things are healthy and they need to eat it, like, where would they get it from? So I think modeling healthy eating habits and starting early, if you have young children now, start to model those healthy eating habits. I think those are the two main things. Start early and then model those healthy eating habits.
Thank you so much, Amy. Yeah. Thank you. So modeling is my keyword. Modeling is the key parenting advice, honestly. And I want to, we're going to wrap up soon. I want to go back to Bridget, still on this topic of food. Raising children abroad. I don't know if you're anything like me. The short time I was in the UK, I suddenly fell in love with Nigerian food all over again, because for my first week I was feeling very Oyibo. Every day I'll be eating all the things I want, all my British cravings. Then by the second, third week, I was like, man, I need to eat ofaku. I need to eat. I was looking for the most local food possible. And my question is that with you raising your children, I don't know if the boys eat Nigerian food. How are you able to make sure that that you're keeping those things as well? Because I know some houses, it's only the parents that are eating fufu. The children don't eat that. We don't like all your Nigerian food. Do your children eat Nigerian food? And if they do, how are you able to bring that balance so that, yes, they're still eating their British food because those boys are British, British Nigerian, but how are you able to?
We eat Nigerian food. That's all we eat.
Oh, really?
My children, yeah, that's what they eat. What would they eat? Do I know how to make their potato or their? Well, anyway, there's not a lot of food in the UK. Anyway, their food is fish and chips and potato and what they call it. Potato pie or all those pies and cottage pie. So no, my children love Nigerian food. That's all we eat. They eat ogbono, egusi. In fact, if I don't cook egusi, they will ask me, Mom, why are you making egusi? It's egusi, they call it.
I love it. I love it.
They love Nigerian food. Like, I think it's like what Fumi said, is what they are used to. Once they are used to, they love it. Once they are used to it, you are cooking at home. Again, I don't know about Nigeria, but over here, the problem with, nutrition with children is obesity. A lot of children are obese here in this part of the world because they are eating the wrong thing. Is there a problem in Nigeria? Obesity is a problem for children in Nigeria as well.
It's in Nigeria as well, childhood obesity.
childhood obesity is a big problem. And you see children having all sorts of, medical issues linked to poor diets and the kind of food that they are eating and drinking and all that. So yeah, you have to, parents, our lifestyle is very, very busy these days. Gone are the days when daddy is the only one working and mommy is at home being the homemaker. Everybody is working. And of course, we don't have the privilege of having, house helps or nannies and, cooks like you guys are in Nigeria. You have to do it. So sometimes it's not so easy. Imagine going to do a shift of 10 hours. And when they say you are doing 10 hours here, you will do those 10 hours.
Yeah.
And you come back as a nurse to go and cook is not easy. But so what I always encourage parents to do, which is what I do as well, is that you do bulk cooking. You make your food in bulk, maybe your stews and your soups, and just put it in the freezer. Thank God there's electricity all the time. And sometimes if you cannot cook, outsource it. It's easier. If you live a very busy lifestyle, just outsource it and get someone to do it for you and pay them. If you're trying to do it, modern day moms are so busy with what we are doing that it's just so hard to cope, especially in the diaspora. With working full time, trying to, be a wife, being a mother, and some of us have, 1 or 2 jobs. It's not easy. So outsource it. Yeah, but Nigerian foods are healthy. So it's just, again, about portion control.
You introduced me early, so they're already used to it. So it wasn't an issue.
That's all we eat. That's all we eat.
They love it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it. So thank you, Bridget. So introduce it early, model it, let them be used to whatever they're seeing. And I love the outsourcing. Even in Nigeria, I tell some moms, we're too caught up with perfection, these images of super mom. We want to do it all, and we're doing so many things. I have no problem. If there's a particular thing I want to eat, and I don't think I have the time. Like there's this as in your husband they make that food there. What's it called, Bridget? I think it's ekpan cocoa. I have no problem. I do not make it in my house because the process is very long. I don't want to even know how to make it. I'm sorry. I order it. I like it. I order it from a good source. Okay, so I do a lot of cooking. I'm a foodie. I encourage my children to cook. We cook a lot, but something I'm very, very so outsourcing. She goes, yes, so outsource if you don't have the time. There's no shame.
Yeah.
There's nobody going to give you an award for it. Outsource, please. The people who you will pay to make these things for you. If you can do it, please go ahead. Nobody's going to give you a medal for cooking yourself to stupor in the kitchen.
And Nigerian food takes forever to cook.
Yeah.
It takes forever. I kid you not. My son and I, because they like very spicy food. So my younger son and I timed because it was like, oh mom, I want ayamase. So I said, okay, come to the kitchen. Let's cook it together. And we timed it. I kid you not. It was 4 hours. And I'm talking about father stew. 4 hours it took us to cook from scratch to finish.
Bridget,
So
I believe you. Do you know why I believe you? Because I made ayamase 2 days ago. And it took me a few days because the first day I said, oh yeah, help me blend this something. I'm coming. I got home tired.
you are doing it in
I
batches.
said, okay, help me boil. And this is with help. I said, okay, please just help me boil the pepper first. I'm coming. So it was on the 3rd day as I got home early, and I now said, okay, quickly, I put it together. But it was if I had added that process, I'm sure it would have been that same 4 hours that you did. I had to buy the more cooking. Thank God I have a cooker, then chop it into bits and all that. So these things take time. So please, there's no shame. If you need to outsource, please go ahead. And I also want to talk about, you've all mentioned it, showing the children. Something I learned again this year. Children are watching. They watch and they see. They watch what you do. They watch what you say. They watch things that you think they cannot see. It was a scripture, and they watch the good things as well. And the way my son, without me telling him, he learnt that Bible verse, it shocked me. I was like, whoa. So I was like, if this was something negative, that is the same speed. These children are learning, even when we're not intentional. As long as that thing is around you, they are watching you and they're saying, okay, is that what my mom thinks? They're watching the way we talk to people, they're watching the way we behave, they're watching the way we carry ourselves, the way we talk to our spouses, and they are learning. Let's make sure we give them something good to learn. So thank you so much, everyone. Bridget, before you go, put your thing back on. I'm going to just do our quick, You know, somebody asked for, and I think is important. What is your watchword for parenting that you want parents that are watching this to hold on to as we enter into 2024? We're wrapping up, we're done. What do you want parents to take away with them into the new year? Bridget, you go first.
What do I want parents to take away into the new year? What I want parents to take away into the new year is that balance. Let there be a balance. Don't love them to the point that you allow them to spoil or to lack any kind of discipline. And don't discipline them to the point that they don't feel loved. Balance. Always balance things. So that's what I want parents to always have, a balance for anything you do. Balance.
I love it. Balance. Like our dear president would say, let them breathe. Let the children breathe.
Allow the children to breathe. Allow the children to breathe. Yeah, because one thing is that because a lot of us didn't grow up with parents who were affectionate with us, right? The way our parents showed us or they demonstrated their love for us was they paid our school fees. You know, you have food to eat. So what are you complaining about? You understand? You know, they were not expressive in saying, I love you. You know, hugs and kisses is something that, you know, we didn't experience that much. But now, in this day and age, you got to learn it, you got to do it. But you will be surprised that a lot of our parents in our generation still don't know how to express it. So you say, the children don't feel the love. You love them. I mean, most parents, I won't say every parent because I've seen some really horrible parents. They love their children, but the children don't. It's just like relationship as well, where a wife say to the husband, you don't love me. And the husband is saying, but I love you. But what she's saying is that I don't feel loved.
Exactly.
So that's what I mean. You need to make sure that your children feel that love. You express it to them. Teach them. Tell them all the time, I love you. They say it back, I love you too. So just balance it.
Balance it. I totally agree. Don't suffocate them to the point that you're spoiling and making them entitled. But don't restrain from showing that affection. Let them know that you love them. Show them it's not only about have you how was school? Have you done your homework? Have conversations with them. Somebody else mentioned the conversations where they get to know you and you get to know them. For me, what is your watchword for parents? You want parents to take into 2024 in their parenting journey?
Before I go on to that, I think something that Bridget said was actually very important when she talked about loving them in their own way. Because I realized that even children have different love languages. Like my first daughter, her love language is different from my second daughter's love language. So it's important to love them, that they all have different, and love them in their own language. I think that's very important. So actually to know what
love them how they appreciate being loved.
Exactly, how they want to be loved. How they, I think that's also very important. And in terms of what I would like, parents to take into 2024. Now I'm a Christian and my faith is central, to parenting. There's something, recently I was just thinking and I was, saying to myself, as a parent now, I don't think there's any parent now that is intentional about what they are doing and is not basically scared of parenting in this generation. The amount of things that our children are potentially exposed to, the rate at which you can easily lose your children. And I was just, thinking and just praying and saying, God, how do you raise godly children in this world that we are living in? And this was an honest conversation I was having, because I was like, as a parent, yes, you are intentional, you are doing this. You've heard stories of people who were intentional, did this, did that, and yet the children turned out, in one. And I was just thinking to myself, how does it? I was just, kind of praying and saying, God, how does this really happen? And the way the Holy Spirit works, he didn't tell me this or that. He just took me to a story in the Bible, the story of Samuel. Samuel was someone who he grew up in the same very environment that produced Hophni and Phinehas, which were the sons of Eli. If you can remember, those of us that might be familiar, those boys were, in fact, they actually caused the death of their father, because basically they were wayward, they were terrorists, they were wayward, they were, they didn't serve God the way they were supposed to serve God. And, when the Holy Spirit just got me thinking, how was Samuel able to thrive in that environment? He had brothers, so to say, mentors, who he could have gone in either direction. He had the father who trained, boys who turned out. And how was he able to do it? And one thing the Holy Spirit dropped to me was that his mother literally entrusted him to God. Like, this was literally like gave the boy over and said, you know what, take him over. And Holy Spirit was telling me that, that it's a state of heart where you intentionally entrust these children into the hand of God. Because yes, you are a parent, but don't forget that you are a caretaker. God is first and foremost the father of those children. So this was, and I know in my generation, one of the things that we struggle with in our time, I don't know about your time, is helicopter parenting. This idea that you have to be everywhere at every point, cameras in the house, and you are doing all these things. And sometimes, as good as those things are, it brings us to a place where we are parenting from a place of fear. We are parenting from a place of we are. If we don't do this, our children will turn out. If we don't. Yeah, I'm very intentional, but also having it at the back of our minds that God is the father of these children and entrusting them, one, and then two, praying for them. I know we say sometimes we pay lip service to this praying for your children, but I can imagine if as a mother, I left my child with somebody else. I had no vision, there was no phone call, there was nothing. What would I be doing? I would be praying day and night. God, I am not there. Watch over these children. God, watch over this boy. And I think that's exactly what Hannah was doing throughout that time. I'm not there, but I trust the God in whose hands I have entrusted this child. So as we go into 2024, I think that for me, that is the biggest thing I want us to go into 2024 with, knowing that God is the father of these children, and everything we do, we should be intentional about entrusting them into the hands of God and then praying for them, in addition to all the things we put in place. So I think for me, that would be the biggest thing, that I would like people to take into 2024.
Thank you. Thank you so much for me. Thank you so much for that. Knowing that God is the father, we've all said that. These children are with us just for a while. They're God's beings. God made them in his image. He gave us as caretakers. How well are you going to do with them? Do your best. Trust God. He has the manual to it. He understands your children way more than you can. They're so different.
Yeah.
For every child you have, that's how different the child is. So you need to trust God with the children. Show them love. Bridget has said that. Show them love, but show them balance. Some people, there's something like, we use the word love, even though that's not love, when you're overdoing it, overindulging them, and just doing things, that it's a laissez-faire sort of parenting. It's very popular. She's talking about helicopter parenting. It's true. A lot of us, the way we run around our children as if they're going to break the next second. And then, like Fumi said, be a praying mom. Latifa has stressed that, be a praying mom. Pray for your children. You cannot be with them 24/7. I do not care how hands-on you are. You're not going to be with them all the time. At one point, they'll be out of your sight. Even if they're in the house, things can happen to them. There are accidents that have happened at home to children. Keep on praying for your children. As they go on in life, as they get older, they're going to go to school, higher institution. Are you going to follow them there? I don't think so. Pray for your children. Do your best. Learn. Equip yourself. We have a conference coming up next year. Join the conference. I do a lot of things for parents because I'm like, as I'm learning, I know it's not easy. As I learn, let us learn together. That's why I have a WhatsApp group now. I have my page. I have this course I'm doing for those who their kids are getting into uni. I have choices to make. Just connect with me. Connect with other people who have the wisdom and the knowledge, who have learned intentionally, and let's continue to learn together. As we learn, as we get more knowledge, we share it. As we learn, we teach other parents. And if we're all doing the right thing, if more parents are doing better, more children will turn out better. All will be a better place, won't it? That's the honest truth. So thank you for sharing.
I like what Fumi said about how we're caretakers. You never really know how It's all in God's hands, except when you go through some challenges with your children. And I had an experience like that that made me just surrender completely to God. And I was like, these children are yours. I'm only a caretaker. And that was what I was reminding God every day. They are yours. I'm only, an earthly caretaker. They are yours. So I think that's really, really important for us as parents to understand. Because we think because we are the one that are the earthly parents, because we birthed these children, we think they actually belong to us. They don't. We are just guardians. And when you have that, I tell you, it brings peace.
Yeah.
It gives you a level of peace that you let go, and you just trust God completely. While you keep walking on, doing the best that you can, you trust God to sort whatever it is, to sort it out.
Absolutely. I love it. Trust God. We are caretakers, they belong to Him. I think that's really the ultimate. Once you have that knowledge and you're secure in that knowledge, these children are God's children. And you've been given this awesome responsibility of raising them. Because the truth is that sometimes people do all they know to do and things still happen. And we're like, God, what did I go wrong? What did I do? You may not have done anything wrong. That's the truth. This is why you have to hand over to God fully. You do your own part. You won't say, oh, because something could happen, I won't do anything. No, you will do your part. But at the same time, more importantly, you must pray. Prayer is important. Do not ever underestimate the power of prayer, because God knows these children so well. Thank you, everyone. Bridget, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I had a fantastic time. Thank you for inviting me. Be sure to invite me to your conference. Is it physical or is it going to be virtual?
It's going to be virtual again, my darling, because we can have more people like you when it's virtual. So I prefer to do most of these virtual things. I know some people don't like it, but for me, it gives more people. I can reach more people. So it will be virtual by God's grace. And for me, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, God bless you. Everyone that joined, I see you all. Tute, Latifa, Jerea, Chigozie, Great, everybody that has been here. I won't call your name so I don't miss somebody's name. Claire, people who have stayed. Those who have not commented, I still see you as well. Thank you for being with us, to spending time with us, Lozier, every single person that has logged in and spent this almost 2 hours with us. I believe it's been time well spent, hasn't it? We've learned a lot in a very casual way. That's the truth. That's why you end up ask me, what are we here to learn? I'm like, let us just say it as it is. No big, no syllabus, no nothing. Talk about from your own reality, from what you have experienced. Let us hear from you. And I really love to hear, from parents every year. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you again. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Choma. Bye.
Bye. God bless you. God bless you. Bye.